for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was trucking up the highway, minding my own lane, with some dude in a Prius went and flipped me off. Guess my redneck hit him wrong. Seems like everyone these days is a ticking time bomb full of hate for folks like me who don't agree and ain't ever gonna change. And it gets me thinking, leave this long-haired country boy.
Hey everybody, this is Jon Marietta, and I'm back in the podcast studio, / radio studio. And I want to thank all of you tuning in. Views are going good. I appreciate all the support I'm getting. But if you do want to support me, get a hold of me, jonmarietta.com, and we'll make sure that we get your ad up there with all the rest of them. And you won't believe how many people are going to say, "Man, I seen that." So let's get started. Every morning when we pour that cup of coffee, butter that toast, or slice into a fresh tomato, we're holding the work of a farmer's hands. The farmer rises before dawn, faces the weather, tills the soil, and trusts that God will bring forth a harvest. He may not see them, but their faith and labor touch every table in America. So today, let's thank the ones who plant, hope, and reap promise, not just for themselves, but for all of us. As it says in Deuteronomy 28:12, the Lord will open the heavens, storehouse of his bounty, to send rain on your land in season, and to bless all the work of your hands. May those hands, calloused, strong, continue to feed both our bodies and our souls. Hey, I wanted to start out with something from a farmer. I have a sweet spot for farmers, no doubt about it. My uncle ran beef cattle and he milked cattle. He milked cows too. And my wife's people were homeowners, but they farmed also. They truck farmed. And when they tell you to go pick green beans and you look at the row, you can't see the end of it. It's in the field's 20 acres long. I mean, a 20-acre field of green beans. I mean, people don't realize what it takes to plant them. I can remember getting tomato plants when we first got married. And, they would buy them. They would buy 250, 300 dozen, and tomatoes was the big thing. Most I ever planted myself was I planted 25 dozen, I think it was. We had a field of tomato. We had a part of a field of tomatoes. But anyways, I got Mark Cook with me today. Mark has a farm, Washington. Yep. And they're planning a big event for the 250th anniversary of our country. Mark, we're going to move this mic just a little bit closer to you.
Sure.
I want to thank you for coming in. It's a big thing. I know that you do vegetables.
Yep.
Now, tomatoes, cucumbers.
Yep.
Not celery probably, but lettuce.
Yep.
Endive. What else we do? Probably green onions.
So we do
Everything fits in a salad bowl.
Yeah, anything we can get. We venture down that road of trying to plant a little bit of stuff. Some of that stuff we got to buy because we just no way we can supply everybody with our own fields and stuff. So it's a group of farmers everywhere that we go through those auctions to try to pick things up. But just last weekend we planted 300 some plants and one day, and then my wife planted another 120 some the next day.
Tomatoes, peppers?
Not tomatoes or peppers. We got them. We don't have them in the ground yet.
It's a little bit early.
Yeah. And we got frost coming Tuesday. So, a lot of times people don't realize that we kind of get these plants in, whether it be a flowers or your vegetable plants. We got to watch the weather. And if it says it's going to go below freezing, we got to get down there and cover all those plants, get them all covered. and then the sun comes back out, you got to get those covers off because they'll get with that moisture in that sun, they'll burn them, and then you lose them anyway. So you're right. Almost every food that you touch with your hands is put on there by a farmer in one way or another.
And if things go good for us, by sometime, I'm telling everybody, everybody's asking me when I'm going to have corn this year. And I told them, I said, I'm hoping if everything goes right, it'll be the last week of June. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And the June corn isn't like the July corn.
Yep.
But I mean, it's a Seneca Valley or something like that. It's something early. And we'll see how this works out for us this year. I have a good friend of mine. He plants a lot of corn, and I help him out trying to move some of it. I'm hoping to move. I think last year, I don't know, just 4 or 5 weekends he was in an abundance, and I helped him out. And I think we moved 250 or 300,000 in 4 weekends for him.
Wow, nice.
But he has lots of young boys that help him pick, and that was my problem with the tomatoes. I could raise them, but the problem was you couldn't get them out of the field.
Yep.
Get them picked.
I was told the secret is when they're just starting to turn, you pick them.
Yeah.
And let them get red, because if you wait, you're going to miss them, and then they're already splitting. And they're already starting to have issues with them on the plant. So not that we're perfect at it. My wife and I, we were growing tomatoes last year, and it was just so hard to try to keep up with them and get down there and get them picked before it was, you seem like you lose a lot, but we may be old in our farm for 250 years, but when my dad grew up, he just said, I'm going to get a job because the farm, how's it going to support the family?
Well, that's exactly what happened. Like my father-in-law, they truck farmed for years. His grandfather did, and his dad, of course, worked in mine. And I'll never forget, there was a fellow come. He had a pretty nice cow-calf operation. My father-in-law did. He had about 30 cows, and he didn't have no trouble moving calves. But what happened was, I never forget, a fellow come double it and double what he was doing. And he told the guy, he says, look, I'm a coal miner. That's how we pay our bills. Farming's a hobby for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, and if it doesn't work out, he said, I'm not going to lose anything. But in the good years, he said, if I make a couple bucks, too.
Yep.
But anyways, back to you. From what I understand, and maybe you can tell the story, your grandfather owned the farm you're on. How many acres is there?
So of the original farm, there was 3,000 some acres back in 1700s. Right now we're down to 30 acres of the original land deed of the we call the mansion.
Yeah,
402 acres. So we're the 30 acres of that between my mom and myself and my brother. We're all connected there, and that's where we're at right now with 30 some acres.
Now, the original farmhouse is still there.
Correct.
And there's, you're going to have to tell us how George Washington fits into this, because a lot of people don't realize Washington Township is named after George Washington.
Yeah. So the story goes that Edward Cook and Andrew Lynn, the neighboring farm down the road, farmer, were having a militia meeting on that gentleman's farm, and a gentleman rode up on his horse, and Martha Cook, Edward Cook's wife, kind of thought she recognized him and come out, and he asked who would be visiting, and he says, I'm George Washington, I'm looking for Colonel Cook. And she was, he's not here, but he's just down the road. And she got a hold of one of the servants to run over to the next farm to make attention that there was a gentleman here of George Washington. So, as the story goes, the word got around at the militia meeting, and they all took 2 steps to get to the farm. Everyone broke rank and took off over there. And sure enough, when they got there, George Washington was there. And as the story goes, he stood on the front porch stoop there, which is still there today. And he spoke to the troops to hooray, and so that's always been told to us as a story. And it was kind of funny. We were at a historical event at a historical society meeting, and Andrew Lynn, or one of the Lynn boys of the original Andrew Lynn, was at that meeting. And his family told a similar story, but the story gathers that they met around a tree at the Lynn farm. It was Edward Cook, George Washington, and Andrew Lynn. And they were talking there at they said it was a huge locust tree on the farm. So we know through George Washington's diary of his travels west in 1784, he mentions of Colonel Cook and the property. He doesn't give much detail what they did or said, but we know in his diary that he had crossed over the property in 1784. So it's kind of neat to know that, their paths crossed.
Yeah.
Well,
what most people don't realize is they know the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, actually August. We celebrate July 4th,
yeah,
because that's when it was penned. But we think about there was a war that lasted 10 years after that, and communications that you couldn't call George Washington up on his cell phone and say, "Hey, you don't have to come here. We already beat these guys." There had to be couriers and things like that, and that took days and time. And like you say, that's what happened. People will say, "Well, George Washington slept here," but George had to sleep somewhere, and that's why.
Yep. Yeah. He had property out west, or at that time the southwestern Pennsylvania was considered the western frontier, and he wanted out. So in 1783, they pretty well signed the end of the war with Britain and with the British. So 1784 is when George Washington decided that I'm going to go visit my lands that I had and go check on these properties and see what's going, because he had to go to Perryopolis to check he had going on. And that meeting didn't go well for him because there were squatters on the property. The guy who was running the place wasn't paying his rent for the stuff. So, but I would hope that his visit with Colonel Cook would have made his day. And he actually went on a little bit further, but they had let him know that the Indians were wound up a little bit, and that he better not travel anymore west. So he decided to come back, and so that was his last trip this far.
Well, a lot of people, you would know this, and I'm sure the house that you're talking about, I can't almost wait. I want to get down there to check it out. I'm the recorder of deeds of Fayette County, but also the grist mill at Perryopolis.
Yep.
I mean, that was originally Washington's property also.
Yeah, right. And that's all there in Perryopolis.
Yeah,
yes, that's what he was visiting. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So if that's something that a lot of people don't realize the history. They don't. I mean,
they want to go to the big state parks or the national parks and all that, but there's a lot of history right in on our own valley, our own backyard. You just gotta look for it, And it's funny you mentioned that, because we know where the Cook grist mill was, and the stone, the grinding wheels that ground that grain up, they still exist, and they're actually on the neighboring farm's property. And according to George or Edward Cook's diary or his will, he had like 25 outbuildings, and of those we know smokehouse, which is still standing. We have the summer kitchen. We still have. And
how big is the smokehouse?
The smokehouse is a fairly big building. It's about 15 feet by 15. Stone, solid stone, 20-some inches thick. And some smokehouses, not to get into details, but some had the fire outside and they pushed the smoke up inside. This one's a little bit different, where they actually built the fire inside and smoked it. But the other thing is that I always wondered if it wasn't a blockade house first. In case they were attacked, they were able to go there. But I don't know that, but it makes me wonder.
I'm a trained sausage maker, so a lot of people wouldn't know. But I got to train German fellow from trained me to make sausage, smoke hams and bacons and all kinds of things like that. And what it amounts to is the difference between the fire being outside and the fire being inside. One of them is it's called a cold smoke, so you have to cure the meat a little bit longer. If the fire is inside, that means you're raising the temperature of the whole room. So they call it hot smoke. So what happens is you don't have to cure the meat long before because cured meat is almost it's like it'd be like corned beef brisket. I mean, that's how it'd be before you smoked it off. So, but anyways, that's for another day. but I want to get back to you. You're going to have an event at the farm it's on the 30 acres, and you got plenty of parking. I take it.
We hope to do that. The parking could be at the farm if the weather's good and the field's dried and the hay's cut. And then we're going to try to park everybody there and get them shuttle up to the house and the rest of the property. But if we got bad weather or it rains and the ground's pretty wet and we can't rut that field or the hay's not being cut yet because of the weather, then we're planning to do like the Belmar and Marion School, the fire company, the Washington Township, the Hope Church, Rehoboth Church are all going to open their places up. And then we'll have shuttle buses, Belvin. We'll have the buses.
Okay, so now I'm driving from Uniontown. I'm driving down 51. I go past Randall's and I turn left.
Yep, you turn left on the Rehoboth Church Road, and you're going to take that road about 3 miles, and there'll be a road called Cook's Road. You make a left down there, and we'll be parking right in that field, and you'll see the house up on the hill. You'll see the big barn down there. You'll be parking by the barn. And that's what we're hoping for. That'll be the easiest thing, you know. But we are. That's our biggest.
Let's hope the hay bond doesn't break down.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. But yeah, we got a lot of things planned. We got reenactors coming. We not just reenacting the Civil War, but historian reenactors. We're having Albert Gallatin going to be there. George Washington's going to be there. And we got some other ones lined up, and they're going to be telling their stories and showing things. And we got blacksmith people that are going to be working. We got some other historian vendors that will be performing. They're going to be showing how that trade was done and what they did. And they're going to be dressed to the time, to that era. So when those people come in behind our house, I hope it could be like walking in time, walking into a little village and just seeing all those things being done. And we got a lot of musicians.
That's what I was just going to say. How about the music? What are we going to do?
So we got a revolutionary music being played. We got the 46th Regiment. That's a Civil War band. The 46th Regiment is a band that is from all over the United States. They come together. They play on the original instruments of that time. And that's what they use. These are not modern instruments. Those are original instruments. And matter of fact, that 46th Regiment, they just got invited to D.C. for the Memorial Day Parade. That same group is going to be at our house at that. We got a couple individual musicians that play historical music on historical instruments, homemade instruments. And again, dressed to the period. And so we're going to have a lot of that. Plus, we got like 50-some food vendors that we're going to have. We got a huge tent we're going to have put up for people to sit down and eat. And we'll have music playing. And not only that, we're going to have a French and Indian war. We're going to have them reenacting. They're planning to bring their horses. They were down last week trying to figure out where they're going to put everything and see what they can do. They're planning it. So, it was really exciting to have that discussion. The other thing is we're going to have an old-fashioned, we're going to have a tent set up. It's going to be like an old-fashioned revival. We got several local preachers that are going to be dressing up, and they're going to be preaching like it was in the 18th century there, late, you know.
Now the dates on this are?
It's August the 8th, 2026. That's a Saturday. We're going to be running from 10 o'clock in the morning till about 7 o'clock at night.
Okay.
We got some some guests coming. Secretary Redding is going to be there, and we got some of our local reps are going to be all speaking there for a moment. Our county commissioners are going to be stopping in, and we're going to have a pretty good, neat opening ceremony. We're hoping we haven't got confirmation yet, but the Old Guard is one of the four bands that the Army has, and it's the Old Guard, the Revolutionary guys, and they're going to be there. The Mon Valley Academy of Arts, they are the Drum and Fight Corps. They're going to be there performing. We got, I believe a high school girl is going to be singing the national anthem. The Boy Scouts are going to be raising the flag. It's not just about our family opening this up. It's about a community event coming together, community of Washington Township, Rostraver Township, all them local guys just coming together, recognizing the birth of our nation. And we like to kind of say it started here. Edward Cook was very much involved with politics. He was very much involved in his faith and to believe in God, the creator. And, he donated the property that's today Rehoboth Church, and it's still there today. And, that was his driving. I truly believe that was his driving force, was his faith. And being a part of the militia and being part of the Revolutionary. And also he was kind of against the government during the Whiskey Rebellion. He believed that the farmers shouldn't be taxed that way, but he didn't believe in the violence.
So Albert Gallatin was a little bit against the Whiskey Rebellion.
Yeah, later on he did. At first he was all for them, but later he kind of thought maybe I was wrong. But Albert Gallatin will be there, so maybe he can tell you how you really feel.
I'm gonna be there. I appreciate the invite, but one of the things that I think about Albert Gallatin was he was a rebel. He was a renegade, and that's how he got elected. People. He was a we the people person, and I guess maybe I made that wrong. He didn't believe that the people making whiskey should have it taxed, and like you say, he turned a little bit at the end. He changed up a little bit, but that people don't realize that the Whiskey Rebellion actually started here in Fayette County.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people realize how big of an impact that had on our new government. Was barely just started, and now there's an uprising by the same men who fought in the Revolutionary War.
And you think we can think about this a little bit. We can put it in modern day perspective. What do you think that them men would be doing right now? The amount of taxes that we're paying on.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it would have been. These political people, they'd be done.
Oh yeah, they'd be tarred and feathered.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
And it was a test. It was a big test for our government. It was a big test for our country. And again, it was the farmers. It was, and this country does not exist if it's not the farmers.
I always tell everybody, I think you think about it, the first major battle that was won in the Revolutionary War was at Kings Mountain. And it was all the hillbillies and the farmers and everybody, they walked all night long just to get in a fight.
Yeah.
And General Ferguson was the British commander. Actually, he was British commander, and he said, "You'll never get me off this mountain." He was one of the first ones shot. They made sure he didn't
get off the mountain. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so contact information.
All right, so we call the Cook Farm 250 celebration.com. That's our website, and everything is on there. And again, that's the Cook Farm 250 celebration.com. We got all our vendors on there. And if you want to be a vendor, if you want to be a sponsor of our event, we're still trying to raise money because Porta Johns don't come cheap. The insurance for the thing doesn't come. The tents we have. So we're still trying to raise money. And if anybody wants to be a sponsor, they can reach out to me, Mark Cook, 724-415-9334.
One more time.
724-415-9334. And call me and we can talk. We can meet up. We love to show the place. We're proud of it. Our family's proud of it. We got cousins and relatives coming in from California, everything. So it's going to be a little bit of a reunion too. But we also want to celebrate America and plus our farm being there. This year, we were invited out to Harrisburg in January, and the Harrisburg, the Department of Agriculture recognized our farm as a bicentennial farm in Fayette County, and we were quite proud of that. And we'll have that sign on display. And our farm's been here more than 250 years, but the house was finished in 1776, and I brought this bottle here. And when we were working on the house, our families over the year, and found this in the chimney, the fireplace, and it kind of gave a little description of when this house was built. And this house was built in 1772 by Colonel Edward Cook and finished in 1776. And in 1924, they were working on it. They were renovating it, and they found that bottle. And in that process, when they were working on the house, and found up in the rafters a gun, and it was an old percussion type gun. It dated like 1830s, I believe. And so not only do the walls talk, they literally have artifacts in those walls that we have found over the years. So it's always an adventure. You never know. Every time we dug the yard up, we found a horseshoe. It's amazing what we find there. So
well, I'm really glad you're doing this, and I am so intrigued by this. And I want to thank you for coming in. We're going to do something different. If you would be up to it, let's see what we can do. Maybe we can do a remote out at your place.
Of course, love to.
Plan to do a remote out there.
Yeah,
I really, really think this is something we need to get behind. And your phone number one more time.
724-415-9334. I just want to add something, that of all the events going on in America for 250 and Fayette County, Pennsylvania 250, we are privately family doing this. This isn't a community event. This isn't something that some towns got together. We're just a family that wants to show our love and for God and our country and the 250 years, and we want to open the house up for people to see it. So we really appreciate you coming out, visiting us.
We're going to get this out there, Mark, and we're going to get as many people looking at this. And I really, really thank you so much. I mean, for what you're doing. Well, I'll help you in any way I can. We'll get this out there. I think we need to do a remote from the farm. Maybe
that'd be great.
Maybe some evening I'll let you know, and we'll slip out there with some cameras and we'll get something taken care of.
Yep, I like it.
Please help these people out. I mean, this is going to be a big thing. We gonna have fireworks?
No, we were, but we have farmers around us, horses, cattle, and I just didn't want to disturb them because they're. It could be a bad year for the fireworks, but everybody's going to be doing them. But we decided not to do it. They're a lot of money too, and we want to try to just stick with. We got a petting zoo coming. We're going to have Highland cattle there. So those are the traditional breeds that were here, and we're just going to have a good time. We're going to have a lot of stuff going on for people. It's just not just for adults; it's for the family. Bring the kids out. We're going to have other vendors there who are just arts and stuff they make and selling them and showing them. So it's just going to be a great event, and we're just proud to be a part of it and want to share it.
Well, thank you so much for coming in, and I appreciate it so much. We're going to have to close up the show because we got other things we have to get to. So anyways, thank you again. And I appreciate all the people tuning in. Get a hold of Mark. One more time, the phone number.
724-415-9334.
We'll get this out there, and maybe we'll get some people from other parts of the state and other parts of the country. And I think it's going to be a great day.
So too. Yep. A great day.
Okay, Mark. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. On this road called life, you have to take the good with the bad. Smile with the sad. Love what you got. And remember what you had. Always forgive, but never forget. People change. Things go wrong. But just remember, the ride goes on. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless America. I am Jon Marietta, and I am the Hillbilly.